ideas on how to build your own systems within a system. And I understand there's a bunch of people on this call that already have really great systems. So if you guys have anything to add, or I hope that you can take some things from this 20-minute conversation as well. And then finally, use. I just want to ensure that those that are already using CoachRx can use it more effectively and efficiently. And those that are not using CoachRx, we want you to use CoachRx. So use would be the third piece. So those would be the three goals of this webinar: exposing you to the system, understanding how to create systems inside of the system, and we want you to be able to use the system more effectively or start using the system. All right, and we're going to do that through these 4 ways. So we're going to talk a lot about systematizing pieces inside of the CoachRx system. Number 1, we're going to talk about onboarding. So having a simple and repeatable onboarding process creates great efficiencies in the coach's practice and the client's experience. So we're going to dig into what the heck does this mean and how we set the system up to seamlessly onboard clients inside of the system. So I keep using that term system. I will continue to use it because that's how we think about all of these pieces. It's like, how do we not set it and forget it, but how do we set it and repeat it over and over and over without a blip? Next is communication. So relationships are at the foundation of coaching, but communication is what fuels its growth. CoachRx was built with this in mind. So we're going to dig into some communication strategies inside of CoachRx. And here's that word again: how to systematize your communication inside of the platform. Next, design. The goal of CoachRx is to allow the coach to design effectively and efficiently. Having a system around this process is vital for a coach's success. So I know we've talked a lot about program design efficiencies and setting yourself up for success in your program design and lifestyle design, so on and so forth. We're going to dig into that a little bit more today. But specifically, we're going to talk about features that are going to allow you to improve the efficiency and effectiveness of your design. And then finally, we're going to kind of dip our toe into this idea, but we're going to punt this to next month so we can actually really dig into it for the full 30 minutes. We're going to talk about business, the business suite inside of CoachRx. So the ability to run your business in CoachRx is what truly makes it a all-in-one software. So we believe that running a fitness business should not be overly complex or complicated. And you'll see as you dig into the features and what we've included in the business suite and what is coming in the business suite, it is with that in mind. How do we simplify the process of running a fitness business? All right, so the first idea or the first system that we're going to jump into is the onboarding process and systematizing the onboarding process. Key features inside of this that we're going to hit are the intake process and the features that are inside, the consultation process, and the assessment process. So let's get started with the onboarding process in terms of intake specifically. So the intake form, so let me actually take a step back. So let's just imagine that we're all using CoachRx and we all have a system built around getting clients into our book of clients, right? So whether that's a sales process that you have built out, whether it's just a referral network that you're bringing people in, whatever the case is, at this point, you've already sold the client into the system and now we're onboarding them. So we do that. The very first step that the system is built to take place in that onboarding process is the intake process. Okay, so the intake form lives in the client's mobile app. Okay, so remember the context of, you already have your system set and how you're getting clients into the system. You need to make it really clear that this intake process is a part of your onboarding system. We let the clients know through their welcome emails and all of that. They're going to listen to you as their coach over us. So ensure that your clients know that the intake form is a part of this onboarding process. They will find that intake form in their client mobile app, but you have to let them know to be on the lookout for that and to fill that out. So you can create your own custom intake forms by organization, or you can use our default intake form. Okay, so just keep that in mind. however you want to systematize that for yourself, whether it's custom and you have specific questions that you want to ask every client that comes through the door, or if you want to use our default, it's up to you. Okay. So the client will fill that out through the mobile app and through the mobile app only. I saw that question just come in. Through the mobile app only for now. Okay. In the future, it will be accessible on a PC or a Mac, but right now it's through the mobile app only. Okay. You as the coach, you will review their intake form in the web app. Okay. So you'll go to their profile, you'll go to update profile or edit profile to the left, and there will be an intake form section. You will click that. If the intake form is filled out, you can pull it up and review that intake form. So that's part one in the onboarding process. And that's how we want you to use that feature in CoachRx. Okay. So as a reminder, you will find this in the client's profile under intake, and the client will find this in the mobile app under their account section. All right, we've gone through the intake process, and now we're doing consultation. So it was really important for us to have a designated area to house consultation notes specifically in the platform. When we were part of True Coach and we were using that and we were telling our coaches to use that, we always had to come up with workarounds. It's like, okay, create notes, title the note this, make sure it's always at the top. We didn't want to have to do that anymore. We didn't want to have to navigate through those workarounds. So it was really important for us to house consultation notes specifically. We highly recommend an initial consultation with your one-to-one clients. If you're coaching someone in person, have that conversation with them in person, have your CoachRx app up and have their intake form up so you can bounce questions off of them back and forth relative to their intake form, and create new notes in their initial consultation section. If you're coaching remotely, do the same, but just do it on Zoom, right? We're having this conversation right now. I have my CoachRx up. I'm asking you questions. I have your intake form up, and I'm filling out the initial consultation notes right here in platform. Okay, so keep consultation notes in app. You will find these in the client's calendar. You'll just expand that sidebar to the left. You'll click consultations. These consultation notes are not shared with your client. I repeat, they are not shared with your client. So feel free to type anything in those notes. If you do want to share these with your client, simply copy the message or copy the text and paste it into a message and send that message along to your client. But all of your consultation notes are private to just your eyes. Okay. From an ongoing standpoint, because it's not only the initial consultation, but we're talking about onboarding right now. So intake occurred and then the initial consultation occurs. Okay. From an ongoing standpoint, you can also house weekly check-ins in this section, and you can also house monthly consultations. So if you do a consultation every 30 days, 45 days, 60 days, whatever your cadence is, all of those notes will be in that same place in the consultation section. It will be broken up by initial, weekly, and monthly consultation. Okay. Also keep in mind that clients can book consultations through the client app as long as you input your link in the coach's settings. So in your settings, as long as you have that link, clients can book consultations right through their app. They will also be shown when their last consultation was had. The only way that the system knows that the consultation was had is if you fill out consultation notes. So that will trigger consultation had. The client will be able to see when their last consultation was and set your own cadence. Hey, I want you to book consultations every 30 days, 45 days, 60 days, whatever your cadence is, set that cadence, let your clients know what that cadence is. And the onus is on your clients or you can put the onus on your clients to book those consultations. All right, so we walked through intake form, we walked through consultations. Now let's hit assessments. Okay, so we also have a built-in assessment protocol in app. Okay, so if you go to the left, you click assessment, you'll see OPEX body, you'll see OPEX move, and you'll see OPEX work. Use that or don't use it. We wanted it there for coaches that wanted to systematize that onboarding process and wanted to track body composition data, movement screen data, and work capacity data as well. You can by all means go and create custom metrics or assessments. Those would be called fitness monitoring exercises. So you can go ahead and create those customs and assign those by coach or by client, by coach, however you want to disseminate those. But we do have the built-in assessment protocol right there in app. So we recommend systematizing your initial consultation process because it just gives a lot of value to the client. And we talk about it a lot when we chat with coaches through the CCP mentorship program. But that initial impression is really important, right? Like you might be working with a bunch of people that have never hired a coach before. So the ability to create value right out of the gate is very, very important. Okay. And it's not just to act like or look like you're creating value. It's actually creating value because you're going through and you're getting context. You're getting context for the coach. You're giving the client context in terms of where they sit. And it's a roadmap for both. Okay. So all of this assessment data is a roadmap for where you're going with your program design, where you're going with your coaching relative to that client. It opens your client's eyes to see where they are now, and it opens up a conversation between you and your client based on that data. Okay. So you can find this in the client's calendar under assessment or fitness monitoring. Clients can always update this information under their account. They go to account in their app, they go to fitness monitoring exercises, and they can update their assessment data right there in app as well. Okay. So in terms of onboarding and the features that we have in the onboarding process, we have intake, we have consultation, and we have assessment. All right, communication. I know this one is one that you guys have heard us talk about a lot, but systematizing your communication through the system is a must, right? It saves you time. You can create some really good expectations for your clients in terms of communication and what they can expect. It creates consistency with your clients, and it is a great way to build trust with your clients. Okay, so it saves you time, expectations are set, it creates consistency in the way you communicate, and a great way to build trust. Okay, today we're going to focus on key features, activity feed, touch point features, and the Loom integration. All right, let's start with the activity feed. Just to make sure that we're all on the same page in what we're looking at, and I know most of us are already using CoachRx, so I apologize for repeating that, what a lot of you already know, but the dashboard is segmented in 4 different sections. Okay, so on the top, you have your metrics section. So just very simple information. How many clients do you have? What is your compliance rate? You can organize the compliance rate by 7 days, 14 days, 30 days, 90 days, all time. You can organize it by exercise and lifestyle put together, only exercise, only lifestyle. You can look at your consultation rate. So how many clients are you having consultations with, or who is not having consultations? And then we have RX insights, and that's just some additional data on your program design. Let's call them efficiencies and practices. So all of that is in that top section, or the metrics section. To the left, we have coach priorities. So who has exercise programs due, who has lifestyle programs due, who has consultations overdue. To the right, we have client priorities. So who do you need to speak to? Touch points. We'll get into that one in a second. What notes do you have outstanding? Do you have any reminders, client reminders that are hitting in the next 7 days? Okay. And then what we're going to talk about specifically now is the activity feed, and that's right in the middle. Okay. So we built the activity feed to review and communicate with your clients' most recent activity. Okay, so you can navigate through 3 different sections. You can navigate through most recent exercise activity, lifestyle activity, or weekly check-in activity. You can also navigate through looking at all clients, or you can just segment one client, this client. You can look at tags that are in clients and just pull those clients there. So you can kind of segment that section however you see fit. So we recommend that you set time in your week where you're just reviewing and communicating through this activity feed. That's why it was built. Okay, so maybe spend some time away from your social media activity feed and get into your CoachRx activity feed a little bit more. Okay, so set some time in your week where you can communicate through this activity feed outside of design times. Okay, outside of design times. we're probably not going to be the most effective communicators if we have to design for 20 people and communicate with those 20 people in one sitting. Okay. So we highly recommend setting time in your calendars to just use this activity feed, go through this activity feed, really build a cadence, a weekly cadence in how you utilize the activity feed. All right, let's dig into touch points. Okay, so we've always used this term touch points when teaching coaches in CCP, but there was never an objective measure around it. It was always just like this loose idea. Okay, relative to the system, a touch point means that you are sending a client a direct message, you are leaving them a comment, an exercise and lifestyle and a weekly check-in, or you have a consultation with that client. So for every one of those things that happens, you get one touch point. Okay. So it's just you and your client communicating, or you communicating with your client. So your clients know that you didn't forget about them. So that is a touch point. But like I said, there was never an objective measure around it. It was always this loose idea. So we built this feature to be able to track and manage communication objectively. Okay. So touch points can systematize your weekly communication, and you can easily set touch point goals. Okay. So there's two ways to set touch point goals. Way number one, you set touch point organizational goals. So let's say you have 3 coaches underneath you, and you're like, I want myself and the 3 coaches underneath me I want that touch point goal to be 2. Okay. So we need to send people, a combination of a direct message, a comment, or a consultation. We need to do that at least 2 times with each one of my clients that are inside of CoachRx. So you can set it by organization, but your coaches or yourself, you can go in and you can set your own touch point goal. But it's important to understand that your coach's touch point goal cannot go under the organization touch point goal. Okay. For obvious reasons, right? You don't want to set your organization touch point goal to 2 and all of your coaches go in there and set it to 1. So they can set it to 3 or 4 or 5, however many they see fit, but they cannot go under the organizational touch point goal. Okay. And that percentage that you see in this section where it says 35%, that is the out of the 17 clients that are in this account, 35% have reached their touch point goals. Okay. So if it's Friday, we know that we're behind the curve there. If it's Monday, it's like, yeah, we're doing pretty good. Okay. We're going to reach that 100% by the end of the week. And this resets every week on Monday at midnight, depending on what your time zone is. That resets every week on Monday. All right, Loom. So we've been big fans of the Loom platform for many years, probably about 4 or 5 years. We've been using this thing since they've come out with the platform. So this was a must-have integration for us early on. So we fully integrated with Loom to allow for efficient and more personable communication with your clients. Okay, for you guys that don't know what the heck Loom is, it's a very simple videoing platform, video recorder platform where I can turn on Loom and record a video right into my camera and speak directly to anyone, send that via Gmail, send that via CoachRx, wherever I want to send that, or I can screen share, show my face and talk about what we're seeing on the screen, or I can remove my face because people don't want to see my ugly mug, and I can just screen share and just talk over the thing that I'm screen sharing. Okay, so it's very easy, and it was a must-have integration for us. So it's a great integration to send a personal video message, to show and explain a day, a week, or a month of design, to show and explain a long-term plan, a lifestyle prescription. You can utilize it to give screen recorded feedback of movements in the app. So if you are a remote coach that doesn't have the opportunity to be on the floor with your clients on a weekly basis, Loom is a must-have. So you can actually walk them through what they're doing in movement. You can ask for videos and also walk them through what the heck is going on through the Loom integration. Okay, so you can send these Loom recorded messages and direct messages and comments and workouts or lifestyle prescriptions, or in coach's notes on your calendar. All right, let's jump into design. Okay, so We can film an entire class on this. Well, we actually did. You can find it in LearnRx. It's called Individual Design Efficiency with CoachRx. So if you're in CoachRx and you don't have a LearnRx account, you can actually still watch that entire class for free. But if you have a LearnRx subscription, go ahead and watch that. Give that class a watch if you guys haven't given it one. But today we're gonna touch on platform periodization and the high efficiency training calendar. All right, so let's hit on periodization. So I'm going to roll through these pretty quickly. I know I'm against the clock here. So get into the habit of using the planning and periodization features in CoachRx. Okay, so it's a little bit of time on the front end, but it's a really good practice to go through with all of your clients. Doesn't matter if they're competitive clients. It doesn't matter if they're general population clients. It's just a really good practice to go through with each one of your clients. You start with a long-term plan or a macro cycle. You input short-term plans inside of that long-term plan. So those are mesocycles. So you input all of those mesocycles inside of it. And then you're going to design your daily plan inside of the short-term plan. So those would be called microcycles. So you can see on the screen here, on Monday, it says pull, clean, pull, squat, i.e. map work. Okay, so when we input this information with commas, they act as tags in the training calendar. And it's just a great way to stay on track during design, which we'll get into in a minute here, but a great way to stay on track. So planning allows for more efficient weekly program designs. You're not recreating the wheel every time you pull up your training calendar per client. You already know what you're doing. You already know what the long-term plan is. You know what the short-term plan that you're working inside of is, and you already have those priority tags at the top of the calendar where you know I'm squatting, you know I'm pulling, you know X, Y, and Z is occurring, you know what's happening in energy systems work. You've already wrapped your head around the progression. And that's why I say it's so beneficial to use with every single client, because that's how efficiencies are made in program design. You already know what you're doing and why you're doing it. You're not reinventing that wheel every single week. So really getting the hang of using the periodization feature inside of CoachRx. And then next we have the training calendar. So there's a few variables here. And like I said, in that class that we have in LearnRx, we dive really deep. We won't dive that deep today, but we'll hit on some high level stuff. Okay. So number one, we have multiple calendar views. Choose a view that you're most comfortable designing in. So you'll see at the top here, it says month. You can also change that to days. So you're only seeing a particular day. You can change it to the week. So you're only seeing a particular week. You can change that to long term to remind yourself what you did last cycle or what you're doing next cycle. Personally, I prefer the week view. I like just having those 7 days in front of me and not having any noise above or below it. So just choose a view that you're most comfortable designing in and design within that view. But do understand that you can change that. And we really wanted to add that ability because coaches' brains work a little bit differently. So not everyone's completely comfortable, or not everyone feels super efficient seeing an entire month of training while they're designing. So just find your stride there and lock into it. Okay. So next piece would be exercise video libraries. So we have over 2,000 videos inside of this thing that we've preloaded. Leverage those. Yeah, leverage those. You can feel completely free to upload your own videos, but we have over 2,000 and that thing is still growing. Leverage those. So how that's used, most of you guys are already in. If you start clicking BAC, our back squat video is going to come up, right? So not only does it give your client context as to how to do the movement and what the movement is, but it also creates some efficiencies on the front end when you're designing those training programs. So you're not typing out back squat, weighted pull up, rear foot elevated split squat, all of that stuff. It all automatically pre-populates based on the videos that we have in the system. You can also seamlessly switch between the lifestyle and the exercise program view. So if you're designing lifestyle, once every 4 weeks, let's say, you can do it right there in the training calendar. You don't always have to go through the sidebar. Okay. And then finally, this is one that we could do a 30-minute call on, is hotkeys. Use your hotkeys. use your hotkeys. Okay, so we put a lot of time and effort into these. The goal in program design, really, like we should be so used to just using our keyboard that we never really have to. When I'm designing a weekly training program, you shouldn't really have to go to that mouse. Okay, just use those hotkeys while you're inside. All right, I'll be quick on this one. We're going to punt this to next month. We're going to dig really deep into what we have in the business suite, because we haven't done a webinar since we've added all of these features to the business suite, kind of walking through how to use each one. So we're going to punt this one in next month. But as you prepare to come back next month, get connected to Stripe, right? It's free. You're not being charged to connect through Stripe. Get connected to Stripe, set up your system, set up some products, set up some subscriptions, start dropping clients inside of those things, start looking at metrics based on the revenue that you're bringing in. Use our payroll feature, right? If you have coaches underneath you and you pay them through commissions, use our payroll feature. Get out of things like DocuSign and all of that expensive stuff and use our contract and waiver system that we have in the system. And then we have some really cool stuff coming with storefronts that we'll walk through next month. But the idea with storefronts is we want to eliminate the need for coaches to have websites, right? We want you to be able to build your complete storefront right in CoachRx. That is at the end of development now. We'll have that launched by that call next month when we walk through the business suite. So I know 90% of you are already in CoachRx. If you're not, start your free trial. I believe today is the last day. That we're offering 30 days instead of 14 days, unlimited clients for 30 days. So get in and get your feet wet on this thing, test it out. If you're already in CoachRx and you're not using the business suite, get connected and get your business suite set up, especially as we go into next month's call. And I know we're right at 9:30. I know a bunch of you have been putting questions in and the team has been answering those, but Georgia, if we're good, I have 5 minutes I can stay and answer questions.
We're good. I'm just going to come on audio to say that.
Okay, cool. Doesn't look like we have any overdue questions. It looks like everything's being answered. Yes, Pablo, the appointment feature is still coming out. Just based on feedback, there were some other things that were a little more pressing, a little more pressing than the appointments thing that we wanted to get in. But yeah, we're definitely that's still on the roadmap. Yeah, Alex, that is the case. There is a limit on how many Looms you can send if you don't have a Loom account. But all you have to do is go in and delete those prior videos. If you don't want to sign up for a premium Loom account, I would recommend it. I've had a premium Loom account for as long as I can remember. But if you don't want to do that, just go ahead and go back and delete the I think it's like 20 or 25 videos. Delete the videos that have already been watched, and you could keep loading those things. How does a client register for CoachRx? Kenny, you just invite them. So you go to clients, you go to add new client. Once you invite them, you put in their email information. That invite is sent over to them and they would get registered that way. Forrest, is there a way to watch people work through the app in a demo? Forrest, have you checked out that class that I was referring to? The program design efficiencies. If you haven't, I would start there. But the team is working on putting together a product demo as well, a full product demo. But if you haven't watched that, I'd start there, Forrest. Jody, no, the the initial and monthly questions are no longer pre-populated. We had a lot of requests to just make that a free text field. Just for context, we used to have CCP specific questions in there, and a lot of people were just kind of skipping those and like adding their own notes because they weren't getting through them on an initial basis or a monthly basis. So we just made that an open text field. Kenny downloaded the app and it asked for, I'm not sure if you mean from a client side or a coach's side there, Kenny. If it's from a coach's side, your login in the app will be the same as your coach's login, and you will use the app from a coach's standpoint. If it's from the client standpoint, they have to follow the instructions in the initial invite email that gives them their username and password. They have to set their password up. Yes, possible to individualize the assessments. Yeah, so just go to FME sets and create those via fitness monitoring, correct? Neil, great question. Yes, we just launched the ability to sell one-off programs that don't affect your client list. It'd take me a minute to kind of walk through the ins and outs of that. But if you're in, I assume you're not in CoachRx, so I'll take a second and walk through it. You can, when you set that program up, when you go to the sales page, it'll let you know like what coach do you want to connect it to, quote unquote coach. Best practice there is just to create a coach that's named after that program, and all of those clients will be dropped in under that quote unquote coach instead of in your client profile or in your client list. What about the video library? I know we can view from the icon. Yes, absolutely. Brendan, when you prescribe those to your clients, if the video is attached, it will also show up in their client app. It'll show up as a caret. They'll just press that little caret. It'll go down and the video will appear. Tim, are archive clients counting as clients when you have an account for 5 to 10? No. So archive clients do not count against your client list. But if you want to permanently delete them, you would just go to archive, click the 3 dots and just click delete, and they'll be hard deleted out of your system. But if you want to keep them in, go ahead and keep them in because they're not counting against your active clients. Brandon, the payroll feature is that is attached to Stripe. So the way that the payroll feature works is it's based off of any transactions that occur in the system. So when you set up a product, you have the ability to connect that product to a coach. Every coach has their own, in the settings in the payroll side, every coach has their commission type. So if they're paid $100 per client or 50% per client, whatever that is, the payroll feature looks at that, looks at all transaction and spits out what you owe your coaches. And then you have the ability to edit anything if something was off, or you have the ability to add manual line items as well. Jody, yes, you can send invoices, not one-off yet, but you can send subscription invoices. So if you set someone up for a subscription and you don't have their payment information, you can go ahead and send them the invoice to get started with that subscription, and it'll save their payment info. Henrik, I know what you're waiting for, man. We'll get that in. We'll get that in for you. Correct, Daniel. Yep, the invoice is only sent once, but clients can always look at receipts in their app. We'll dig into the payment stuff next month, guys. All right, I'm 8 minutes over. Appreciate it. 30 minutes goes really quickly. I will see you guys next month. Thanks for joining. If you guys have any additional questions, shoot us an email, support@opexfit.com. Or if you're in CoachRx, just use that little chat bot in the bottom right and just let us know. Let us know if you have any questions, requests, or